This week on the Nerdy Gritty, what makes a bad movie good?
Hey everybody, welcome to the Nerdy Gritty, where we delve deep into the details of pop culture. I'm Fox.
I'm Dez. And what's that noise? Fox, what's going on? What is that
I honestly
noise?
Don't know what's going on.
It's cardboard being torn in half because I am building a Nintendo Labo.
You got Nintendo Labo?
No, I didn't, but I really should. The Nintendo Labo was finally out, though. And it's getting surprisingly good reviews because this is something we did a podcast about.
Yes,
and
I was very negative about it.
Right, and it's getting really good reviews.
Oh, look. I want to clarify that I had faith that Nintendo would make a good product.
Yeah,
and Nintendo's great at making things for the most part. I just think it's for a very specific crowd and kind of goes against what the point of the Switch is. Like the mobility, but also the console, and to need more stuff, and that limits your mobility. Anyway, but I'm glad it works. I'm sure lots of people will love it. A lot, and it's kind of what we talked about before in our, games are being more designed for dads. These are parents these days. Sure, yeah.
This is exactly that. This is something designed for a parent and child.
Sure.
And I think it's super cool in that way. And I'm part of a YouTube group called DIRD, which is Dad Nerds. It's just DIRD.
Sure.
And
it rolls right off the tongue.
It really does. It sounds like turd whenever I say it.
It really does.
And but I did not name the group.
Yeah. Good.
But all the guys in there are all about it. Doing the Labo with their kids and whatnot. So
I told you could borrow my Switch and play it with your kids if you want.
My wife and I, I was telling my wife about Breath of the Wild, and she's like, I want to play that.
I'll give you that too.
We'd need to buy a Switch though, and so
I don't play. I'll be playing it when Octopath Traveler comes out, which is end of June. No, end of June is Ys 8, and then mid-July is Octopath Traveler. But I can give it till then if you want.
Maybe. We'll see. But I'm going to say right now, I've been looking through the products, and my favorite Labo product is the artificial intelligence Labo.
I haven't really looked at anything.
It's where you build a human being, and you plug it into the Nintendo Switch, and it's a real person. You
start a game, and it's called Turing Test.
Yeah. And it begins to speak to you, and then suddenly realizes what it is.
Yeah.
And it begins...
People are dying by the thousands.
Yeah. And
because it deemed that we are a threat to ourselves.
Absolutely. But then we remembered it's cardboard, and we just threw some water on it.
Throw some water on it, and it crumples. I think that's originally from Isaac Asimov's 3 Laws. It's like, if it doesn't work, just throw some water on it.
Robots cannot harm humans. Robots cannot do anything that will bring harm to a human. Pour water on it.
Yes. I remember that from iRobot. Will Smith just carried a cup of water with him wherever he went.
Welcome to Earth. Splash! I was just thinking about iRobot the other day, and I don't even remember what made me think of this, but just the one moment when the girl gets a gun for the first time and she tries to shoot something, and she closes her eyes and just that. And the very first thing I do is I go, she's just trying to shoot him with her eyes closed. And then right after that, Shia LaBeouf's character goes, "Yo, Spoon, she just tried to shoot you with her eyes closed."
Oh, Shia LaBeouf. Do you remember the time when Shia LaBeouf basically broadcasted himself watching all of his movies?
Yes.
And it's hilarious.
And he's crying.
He's crying at some, but also just laughing at Transformers. And anyway, speaking of dads, I've been playing Dad of War.
Yeah.
Boy edition.
Boy.
God of War is incredible.
I'm watching...
There's so much to it, and it's so much fun.
I'm watching Christopher Odd play through it, and he's farther than you
much farther.
And I've seen things that you haven't seen and know things that you don't know yet.
Yes.
But let's just say that right now, I want to open hand slap Atreus.
Oh, I've wanted to basically from the beginning.
No, you don't even know. Oh, you have...
Stop making noise. Anyway, it's great. I love how they portray gods in it as basically just superpowered humans. They're not like gods from the other God of War movies or games where they're like giant gods. these are just people with powers.
Have you met Magni and Modi yet?
The sons of Thor.
Yeah.
Not met them in character, or met them like God. I haven't interacted with them, but I know who they are.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
you first run into them
Baldur talking to
Mimir. Mimir's awesome.
Yeah.
He's both
Mimir
hilarious
awesome.
and also just a way for you to have another voice in the conversation when you're walking around instead of just you and the boy.
Instead of just, maybe I should boy.
Boy.
But what if I boy?
Boy.
I do not know.
Can you say, yeah, that's like
I do not know.
every other phrase. I love it. But I also love how, at the same time as being a gruff, not very good dad at a lot of times, he's also pretty good at sometimes. Like there's a time when, minor spoiler, I guess. I don't know. You find a giant. You're trying to get into Jotunheim. You have to get a thing to get there, and you have to get to get that thing. There's a great little short cutscene, I guess, where you don't see what Kratos is looking at, but he kind of goes like this, and
they can't see you, Fox.
Oh yeah, sorry.
He kind of looks off into the distance.
Looks up behind, like past the camera, and it doesn't turn and show you. You've seen what it is, but you can see the wheels turning in his head. Like, oh, I know what I'm doing now. Yeah. And then, but Atreus after that is like, what's the plan? And instead of Kratos being like, oh, he's got to go up there and do this thing, he's like, what do you think? And like the all the way up there, Atreus is just coming up with plans, and Kratos is like, nah. That's stupid. Not going to work. Can't do it. Nope. And like it just gives him opportunities to work on what he's supposed to be doing.
He does that a lot, actually, and it's pretty cool. Like
it's really nice.
Yeah, there are a lot of again, he's not a very good father, but you can tell that he's trying his own way,
and that's great.
And you can see that they're both flawed characters in that way, and it's a lot of fun. And it's
Kratos is a bad father. Atreus is an idiot.
Yeah,
that's really what it is.
There are a lot of dad feels in this.
Oh, yeah.
For me.
Oh,
absolutely.
It's like The Last of Kratos, basically. Like it's like The Last of Us, but with gods.
Yes. Apparently, God of War is the highest rated PlayStation 4 game ever since The Last of Us.
Oh, that's not surprising. It's great.
It's really, really good. I, on the other hand, have been playing Mulaka, and that's an indie game that we played at PAX this last year in 2017.
Right.
And, it's really cool. It balances this line where the story itself is meh. Like, there's not much of a story to it. If you're in this looking for, like, God of War, you're going to be sorely disappointed. It is a very classic, it's the end of the world, and you need to get the superpowers to stop the end of the world from happening. There, 100% of the plot now. But that's not what it's about. What it really is an interactive jaunt through the Huarme tribe.
That.
I think that's what
that tribe, right?
It's
my favorite tribe.
Yeah, I mean they're tough the name is tough. Everything. I remember that I am Sakurame and my name is Mulaka. I am the Sakurame. And anyway, but it's a jaunt through their mythos and their religion and their tribe's history and everything like that. And like the collectibles in that game are you walk up and you find this weird toy and then you interact with it and then it pops up. This is what this was historically. This is how they used it. And like there's actual like historical lessons within it. And it is really looking through the culture and history of this tribe. And it is super cool. And every enemy has like, when it says new enemy, you push the big touchpad on the thing and it takes you to a bestiary. And the bestiary is not like, here's exactly how to kill it. They'll have like one thing sometimes that's like dodge it and then attack it from behind. But other than that, it's like a page of this is within the lore of, and like a lot of games have that, but this one is based on a real tribe.
Actual lore from real life. Yeah.
And so it's really interesting and really cool and I love it. And again, there are little things. I watched a little special feature on it on YouTube a while back, but like you can run as much as you want. There's no stamina bar. Mm-hmm. And that's just, to me, that was just, interesting design choice. Yeah. But then I watched a video and they're like, oh no, the tribe is actually known for their endurance.
Oh, okay.
And
that's cool.
They're supposed to have a legendary endurance, so we chose not to have a stamina bar.
That game is doing what games need to do more.
Yes, it is exactly that.
Displaying real life and maybe with some creative
Of course.
thing to make it more fun, but it's like Assassin's Creed Origins doing the explore mode.
Yes.
Like, it's taking what it has to offer and using it for more than just entertainment.
Right.
And it's great.
Like, what you're doing doesn't have to be like... I watched the movie Hercules the other day, the old Disney one. Old Disney one.
Animated one.
Yeah, and animated one. And it takes the Greek mythos and just beats it to death.
Yeah,
like none of it is
in
true.
In the Greek mythology, his name is Heracles. He's not even called Hercules. That's the Roman version.
That's like Zeus and Hera, the loving parents. And I'm like, whoa, what? What?
No.
What?
Zeus is a horrible monster.
He is a...
In God of War, I haven't met Thor, but Thor is a garbage person so far. Like, nobody has anything nice to say about Thor. The world serpent literally eats the statue of Thor.
It just spits him out.
It's like, isn't that taste or hurt or taste bad or hurt? And he's like, I don't think he likes him that much. I think he's willing to endure some rocks going through his throat. It's great.
Oh, man. So, yeah, I really been enjoying that. But what the other thing that my wife and I have been doing is we have been watching, I've mentioned this before, a lot of bad fantasy. And it's been a lot of fun. There are a lot of bad fantasy movies out there that are bad.
Oh, yeah.
Really bad. We watched a movie called The Veil.
Right.
And it was just horrendous. I mean, one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. And there's another movie. Actually, The Veil was so bad, I'm like, what is its rating on IMDb? So I went to IMDb, and it's got like a 1.5 star rating, and it's something like 80 ratings.
User rating, right?
Yeah. It had no critic rating. It wasn't good enough to be critically.
Critics don't know it exists.
But it was like 80 ratings. 3 people gave it 5 out of 5 stars. And you know that's like the director's brother or something like
or
that.
The director
you know what I mean? Yeah. Everyone else
with 3 different accounts.
1 out of 5 stars.
Yep.
And it's so funny. Yep. It's like reading the Haribo gummy bears.
The sugar-free Haribo gummy bears.
Yeah, it's like reading their comments where it's just like, what have I done with this hour and a half of my life?
Yeah.
What hideous thing have I... Anyway, but we've also seen some really enjoyable fantasy movies.
Yeah.
So
there are those out there as well.
Here's kind of what we want to talk about today is what makes a bad movie good. So let's kind of start off with this. This is what I ask you because obviously if it's good, why are we calling it bad? Like,
right.
What do we mean here, Fox?
Well, so there are movies that are... I think the better way to put it is it's so bad that it's good. Where... Yeah, this movie is not going to win any awards. Maybe a Razzie. But not even Razzie category falls into that. That's just for bad. There are movies that are so bad, they are fun to watch. And that's kind of what we want to talk about. Movies that aren't necessarily like great, but just still great to watch.
Yes. So, and there's a lot of different reasons for that. So, I mean, what are some of your... Because I think we're going to get into different reasons of why we think they're both bad, but then good. So, what's your number one?
Well, there are some very famous ones.
Yes.
In fact, there's a movie about the most famous one that came out last year.
The Room?
There's a movie called The Room. It's just one of the most horrendous movies ever made, but so iconic in just line delivery and just what were they thinking like when they did this type thing. The movie that came out last year was The Disaster Artist, starring James Franco.
Dave Franco was in it too, wasn't he?
Yeah, his brother played basically his best friend in the movie. But it's like a biodrama or whatever, where it's a biopic about the making of The Room. And that kind of, to me, like, shows us it's same like Ed Wood is a similar movie with Johnny Depp, came out in the 90s. It's about the making of a movie called Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Right.
Another iconically bad movie. There's a documentary that came out just a couple of years ago called Best Worst Movie, and it's about a movie called Troll 2.
Yes!
Which is personally my favorite bad or good bad movie. So there's something like, it's not just us, and there's just something culturally about bad movies that are still fun to watch that people like. And yeah, like I said, my favorite is Troll 2. We just watched it. I've watched it several times now, but watched it again with some friends a few months ago. My wife and I, with some other friends, have been doing as when we can bad movie nights. And we watched that. We watched Plan 9 from Outer Space. We're watching Battlefield Earth soon.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That one's just bad.
I disagree. But that we'll get into that. But yeah, there are a lot of really bad movies that are iconic for being bad, and therefore people watch them still.
Right. And there are movies out there that don't make that cut. Like I recently watched Valerian.
Yes, the Planet
City of a Thousand Planets.
The
City of a Thousand Planets.
Some weird title.
It was just bad.
Yeah,
like there was no like redeeming, amusing,
no
to it or
redeeming
else.
value.
Yeah,
that is a good phrase to use about this.
And it was just not enjoyable and really really sad. So let's start here. Let's start here then.
Really sad.
And not like the movie was sad, like it was sad that it was made. Just
Aww.
like you tried.
I know it's digital film and you could delete it immediately, but it's still just wasted resources. People got paid to make that.
So, what are some redeeming qualities? Like, talk about some movies that are bad that you like and what you consider some redeeming qualities.
These movies are usually more fun when you're watching them with others.
Absolutely.
Watching a bad movie, even though it's good by yourself, is still just a boring whatever because there's nobody to share that experience with. And that's really I think a big difference between a good movie and a good bad movie. Is a good movie you can watch on your own and still enjoy and get out of it what it was supposed to give you. And a bad good movie or good bad movie is usually more of a shared experience to just make fun of it with everybody and to like be confused and to laugh at it. And it's about the experience you have watching it more than it is about the movie itself.
Right.
There's nothing in Plan 9 from Outer Space that's like interesting, it's not a movie that presents an idea in a good way that's like, oh, at least that part's it. There's nothing really in it that's like, okay, sure, it's mostly bad, but that's kind of okay. No, what came out of it, what comes out of the enjoyment is being able to laugh at it and share that experience with other people.
See, this is where I think the movie I talk about, The Veil, would be in that genre where my wife and I watched it, and it was just bad.
Yes.
And it was laughably bad. And that's a good term to use for it. I would never watch that movie again. I would never watch that movie again with my wife. But if we got a bunch of people together who enjoy fantasy movies, I would love to watch it with them and for all of us just to MST3K the crap out of these movies.
You have to.
Yeah. And it's just so much fun to be able to, like you said, it's a shared experience. Kind of just to... Something happened. This is when I was a freshman in college. I came back to my hometown because I went to college a little bit far away. Came back to my hometown, hung out with a bunch of my friends at an IHOP. It was like 1 a.m. at an IHOP. And somebody got chicken strips. And then while we continued our conversation, there was ranch for the chicken strips. And somebody was just like putting hot sauce in there, pepper in there, bit of the jams, and syrups in there and just like stirring it up.
Okay.
And then at the end of it, someone's like, hey, Steve, eat a spoonful of this. And I'm like, no, why would I do that? And everyone's like, come on, do not. And I'm like, no, like there's no redeeming value. Why would I ever do? And finally, my friend Jeff looks at me and says, Steve, do it for the memories.
You got me.
And he did. Like I stopped and I thought right there, like, I will remember this moment for the rest of my life because...
I'll talk about this on a podcast someday.
Yeah, a decade later. Seriously, though, there was like
hold on. A decade?
15 years later.
That's right. You're an old man. You're a celebrated
17
actor.
Years later.
You're a celebrated actor, Gary Oldman.
Academy Award winning.
Star of stage and
Stage
screen.
of star and movie.
Sirius Black himself, Gary Oldman.
17 years ago.
Yep.
Anyway, but my friends were there, and this is like crazy stuff was going on, and I was like, yep, And I did. And I ate a spoonful of it, and it was disgusting. But I remember it to this day, and we all laughed. And it's just that shared experience of something so hideous, but we all experienced it together.
You got to make fun of it and have fun together.
Yeah, and you guys, it's the type of thing where somebody's like, oh, this smells disgusting. Smell it. The reason they pass it over to you is so you can share in the hideousness.
I mean, more examples of this, MST3K, Mystery Science Theater 3000, a very popular show that's still going, or in a new version of it, basically, on Netflix. Red Letter Media, one of, like, the best YouTube channels, just in existence, objectively. They are one of the most highest funded Patreon recipients. Yeah, they make, like, $150,000 a year. To make terrible, hilarious videos. It's great. But also, like, there is something called Bee Fest, which happens definitely at the University of Chicago, I think.
But you get a lot of honeybees together?
They just get a lot of bees, and that's it.
Yeah.
No, they just watch 24 hours of bad movies straight. But it's in a big amphitheater. None of these things are in isolation. They're all, like, sharing this experience of watching bad movies. So, let's move on.
Okay.
I want to ask you.
Yes.
There are bad movies. You've seen bad movies.
Yes.
There are good bad movies. You've seen some of those.
Yes.
What is the difference?
Between a just straight up bad movie
when you watch a movie that you would consider good, bad, and another movie that you consider bad. So why?
I actually have two genres of good, bad movies. Two types. There is one in which you as a group of people, you with people around you, can laugh at it together.
Okay.
And this is something like, and Sam Raimi caught on to this with the Evil Dead movies.
Okay.
You can see Evil Dead 1, Evil Dead 2, and then Army of Darkness go from
he clearly knows what he's doing.
Yeah, like he went from he thought the first Evil Dead was going to be a horror movie, and he
intended it to be that way.
Intended to be a scary movie.
Didn't entirely fail, but
and it was a little bit goofy and a little bit scary. So with Evil Dead 2, he kind of drew the line with talking deer heads on the wall and weird things like that. And it was a good example. A little bit creepy and also a little bit funny. And
they kind of leaned into it. It's basically just a remake. People don't know that, but and kind of leaned into both.
And then
aspects.
And then with Army of Darkness, he just went
full on camp ridiculousness.
Yeah, camp ridiculousness. So the first Evil Dead by Sam Raimi to me is an example of the type of movie that is not good for what it wants to be.
Okay, it's not a great example of horror.
Right. But it's funny. And it's fun to watch people. And it's a little bit creepy sometimes.
Yeah, I would say that movie has some redeeming value. With the budget it had, I think it did a pretty decent thing. There's some decent special effects as well. But time. I 100% agree. For the time, of course, yeah.
I will say this, and this is just a taste thing. I'm not a big fan of Sam Raimi's style of cinematography.
I freaking love Sam Raimi.
Really?
I will watch Sam Raimi all day long.
I know that's just a personal preference thing. There's a huge Sam Raimi moment in Spider-Man 2.
Yes, and it's the best moment in the movie. That when you see when Doc Ock is awake, and
when his arms
you see first person camera mode of nurses screaming and stuff.
Yes, it's and then just the smash cuts of Saw. Things like that. And it's way Sam Raimi.
It's great.
And again,
and it feels out of place, but it's great.
It really feels out of place in that movie, but it's classic Sam Raimi.
Yes,
but to me, that's one kind, and I think even more in that area is going to be movies like the old Goonies movies, Troll 2.
Old Goonies?
Not Goonies, sorry, Ghoulies.
Ghoulies.
The old
Goonies is a fantastic.
Ghoulies is wonderful, and I will fight you.
Goonies. No, Goonies, dear Lord.
Yeah, whatever. That's one letter. But that's kind of my point right here is there's another genre of good bad.
What is that?
And to me, that is, by all accounts, this isn't a great movie, but it sure as crap is fun.
Okay.
The acting is poor, the budget is low budget, but you know what they're trying to get at, and they're hitting that really well, and it is a lot of fun to watch.
So I would guess you would put Underworld.
Yes,
in this,
exactly.
Or Resident Evil.
Underworld, or Resident Evil, even
Fast and the Furious,
Constantine. I don't think Fast and the Furious.
I think Constantine is better than
other people saying Fast and the Furious.
I think Fast and the Furious is.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, Constantine, sure, yeah, they're not paragons of film.
Right, absolutely. And you walk into these movies, the Die Hard movies. No, actually, no, that's not true. Die Hard movies are just good.
Great. Yeah,
They're
I mean, they
Die
start
Hard
as good.
4
Die Hard
is a
4.
good example of this.
Oh, it's okay.
It's a check your brain at the door type of movie.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a good example of if you walk in and you're knowing I'm about to watch John McClane drive a car into a helicopter.
Right. So,
I can't stop and analyze this critically or literally. I have to go and be able to say, John McClane just drove a car into a helicopter, son! You know, so like, good. Yeah, exactly that. And as long as you allow yourself to do that, these movies that really shouldn't be great are a lot of fun.
Provide some entertainment for a little while.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, they're not going to stick with you.
Yeah.
They're not going to like say anything important.
So my biggest example of this right now is my wife and I just discovered the Mythica series. Okay. And you and I talked about this last time.
You keep mentioning it.
I do. I will consistently mention it. I will say right now, they are not well-made movies. They're not. They're not well-made movies. Sure. The CG is like 2001 British television quality CG. Like if you've seen like
old Doctor Who, well, not old Doctor Who, but
like the first reboot of Doctor Who,
season Doc 9.
Yes, exactly like that. That is the CG quality you should expect. A lot of the magic is clearly like LED lights, like very clearly LED lights. The actors are, but like the most well-known actor in this movie is Matthew Mercer.
Oh, Matt Mercer's in it?
He's the villain in it.
Oh,
yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
is that why you know about it?
No, we literally just discovered it, and then
Matt Mercer is a very famous voice actor.
Yeah,
he's the
GM in Critical Role as
right,
well.
but no, he's in Overwatch. He's the cowboy. McCree, the cowboy guy.
He's a lot of things. He's also a few of the voices in World of Warcraft.
Right, he's a Blizzard guy.
Yeah, he's a Blizzard guy, but I mean, he's probably second only to Nolan North in voice acting.
No, Troy Baker. Troy Baker and Troy Baker is far more famous than Matt Mercer. Get out of here, son.
Well, I mean, I was going to say in credits. Like in amounts of credits.
Troy Baker still.
Well, we'll look at it. We'll check later. But I looked up, actually, just side note, I looked up Nolan North's amount of credits. It was like 678
he's
credits.
He does a lot of stuff.
He's in everything.
Yeah.
But, so this Mythica movie, it's not well made. The acting is mediocre. But there was something they were trying to hit, a genre they were trying to hit, and something trying to do. And this is something that like big budget movies don't do that this movie gets really, really well. And it's the chemistry between their stars is A+.
Yeah, that's important.
A+, man. And there's just so much banter. To me, and this is something I want to talk about later, is this is the true D&D movies. Mm-hmm. There was Dungeons and Dragons with Jeremy Irons and nobody else cares who else. But it was terrible. It was a bad movie.
Wasn't Jason Statham in that? I'm fairly certain he was.
Jason Statham?
I might be thinking of something else.
Anyway, the movie was not good, is the bottom line.
Sure.
And this Mythica movie is what, to me, it's the real D&D movies.
Sure.
And just because it focuses so much on character and character building and character growth. And it's so much fun. And they're not great movies.
It sounds to me like, based on your descriptions, that the people making it was crowdfunded.
Right.
They were passionate about what they were making.
Yes.
Without the resources to make what they truly wanted to make.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And you can tell that the actors who were put in it weren't, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I'm going to guess, these actors probably weren't people that they hired that were like, sure, I'll be in the movie.
Yeah.
These were probably people that were like, I think this looks awesome.
Yeah.
Or
friends of theirs.
Or something like
film
that.
Students maybe made it or something.
Yeah, and just something that they were also as passionate about this.
Right, which goes a long way.
It really does. On screen, it goes a long way.
There are movies, major, like Ghostbusters 2016. What's his face? Original Ghostbuster. Bill Murray is in it. Every single scene he's in, you can tell he does not want to be there. I mean, that movie's got all the problems, but he just does not want to be there. Same with like Harrison Ford in a lot of his more recent movies. You can tell he just,
any of them.
Star Wars, New
Blade
Hope,
Runner.
one of those. Blade Runner is fine, but
I haven't seen it.
No, he just didn't really want to.
Star Wars definitely he did not want to be there.
Really? Oh, I thought that was the first time in a while.
Really?
I had seen he actually might be having fun right now, and I thought it was because spoilers, if you haven't seen it, that he got to die at the end.
He thought he should have died in Empire Strikes Back.
Right. So he's like, finally, it's come. I'll be released of this.
So what about that second genre that I'm talking about? Movies that aren't well made, by all accounts, they're not good movies in that way, but for what they're shooting for, the chemistry that they have, they're just fun to watch.
See, that's one of my major... I have a few different parameters for what makes a bad movie good. And that probably is basically another way to say my big one. It's when the people creating it have all the expectations in the world, are very passionate about what they're making. To me, the more fun ones are where they fail miserably. Mythica doesn't sound like they failed miserably. It sounds like they had a lack of resources to make what they truly wanted.
Yes.
Troll 2, you can watch interviews with the director of that movie, and to this day, he will defend it as a great movie. He thinks people just don't understand what he made. And that kind of delusion is what makes a bad movie great. It also helps my case, that he didn't speak English, but he wouldn't let the actors change their lines because he felt like his English translated were great, and so anyway, watch Troll 2, it's amazing. But yeah, just the idea that you have great intentions, you're very passionate about what you're making, you care about it, but you just fail miserably, probably because you're not very good at what you're trying to do.
Right.
Your skill level does not meet, your eyes are bigger than your stomach.
And that's where, I'm going to go back to the veil here. You can tell that every single step, every single moment of what's going on in that movie, The Veil, it is taking itself 100% seriously.
Yeah, and that's an issue.
And there's a moment at the end in which something happens. I don't want to give any spoilers away. No, that's not true. I don't freaking know what happened. I still don't understand.
I can't spoil it because I don't know.
But something happens, and you can tell that with the cinematography and the music and everything, it's supposed to be this huge reveal in which you go, oh. Yep. But instead you go, what?
Huh?
Yes, and see, now I want to see it again, but I want you to be there.
Sure.
Oh, it's so bad.
And another part of me, though, for a good bad movie is, when your fun side of your brain can overcome the logic side of your brain, and I have trouble with this.
Yeah, it's the check your brain at the door.
I can't do this. Yeah, you mentioned this too. That's a big part of it for me, where it's that wouldn't have made sense. Or even for a good bad movie might not, but even good movies can do this to you. Yeah. Mad Max Fury Road doesn't make any sense.
Right.
The crap that's happening doesn't really have any... Why are they dressed like that? What happened?
You just have to assume there was some sort of apocalypse and everything that's happening makes sense because of that.
Right. And it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The major example is the doof. Is what they call him. The
guitarist.
The bard that they have. He's the big guitarist guy who's strapped to the wall of speakers, and he's just playing. And
as the car's driving down the road.
In a world that literally fell apart because of a lack of gasoline, they are spending gasoline for a man to play guitar.
Heavy metal guitar.
Yes.
On the front of a car.
It does nothing useful. But while you're watching that, part of you could be like, what? Why would they? But 99% of you, or at least me, was like, oh, that is so cool.
Yes.
This is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Because that movie is amazing in so many aspects. You're willing to, overcome part of that. And so even things that in other movies you would consider to be bad, you're like, that's great. That's awesome. I want more of that.
And movies can do that well.
Yes.
As you said, good movies can do that well, and bad movie can still do that well, where, again, Mad Max does it well, in which one thing that a lot of the bad fantasy movies try to do is they try to explain too much sometimes.
Right.
And it's like, look, just tell me...
Stop it. Just
the darkness has fallen on the land, and now the land has a tainted evil.
Show me the bad guy doing a bad thing. I'll know he's a bad guy. Show me the good guys doing good things. I'll know they're good guys. I know they need to take out the bad guy. That's the story.
And I can accept that. I can. You don't have to go into in the second age of the third month of the land of the Schmilmister.
Right, you don't need to give me an entire map. You don't need...
Yes.
I don't need to know every detail of every human being that's in this movie.
Yes. So, and so if they do it well enough, there's a moment where they can just say, look, clearly there was an apocalypse. Everything that's happening is due to that. All right, let's go.
Yeah, well, I mean, they don't even say that in
Right.
the fourth one, in Fury Road.
In Fury Road, right.
There's no point where they try to explain what happened to the world.
But my point is, like, something clearly happened.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
yeah, they don't need to.
Right.
Obviously.
Or
Or
well done.
maybe it isn't even Earth. Who cares?
Right.
Well,
It's not important.
It is not important to the story they're telling, so they don't spend time explaining it.
And I exactly see what you're saying now. That's how you can enjoy good, bad movies.
Yes.
Is because it's just... Check your brain at the door. I don't want explanations. I want to watch this movie and enjoy myself.
Yeah,
and laugh
there are
and
lots
joke
of
and
like
cheer.
crappy action movies that are fun because of that. Because they go in like they do all the genre tropes. Like action movies, they'll have the one-liners, or they'll have like the invincible guy who somehow survives everything, and like it's fun. Like, okay, I see what they're doing. That's fun. Like,
see, and that's where I would consider some movies, and people will probably fight me on this, but I would consider like The Expendables a good bad movie because
I think they're more bad than good, but.
Because,
I understand.
well, to me, you have to go into this movie understanding you're not here for quality cinema.
Right, right.
You're here to watch all of your old action heroes do action things.
Sure.
And I love them for that.
I liked them less as they went on. Like, they just kind of went too much to it, I think.
I mean, there's only so much of that you can handle.
In, like, the third one or the second one of the posters for the movie was all of the actors and how many people they've killed in all of their movies. It's great and awesome, but then they get too self-indulgent, I think. But yeah, those would fall in under good bad, I'd say. I just they have too much outside knowledge needed. If you don't know who any of these people are and you're 12 years old, you're likely not going to. Like, who the crap is...
Well, if you're 12 years old, you're going to love the fact that everybody's just killing each other.
It's just explosions and stuff.
Yeah.
I suppose that's how they hit everybody. Get every demographic, but...
No, if you're a 25-year-old woman, you have no care. Chances are, I guess, I'll say, let's not assume anything about anybody, but chances are you have no care about the Expendables.
Yeah, they're not for you.
Yeah, because 25 years old is not old enough to remember those sweet, sweet 90s and 80s movies.
Right.
And women aren't really going to be into the action as much as men are.
Stereotypically, yes. Yeah. That is not generally how it goes. So, I have another question I want to ask you, though.
Go for it.
I'm going to bring up a very specific movie that we've had lots of discussions about, and that is Batman vs. Superman.
Okay.
You would agree with me, you've said it before, that it's a bad movie.
It's not well made.
Right. Most people who are being...
honest with themselves.
And honest with them, as objective as they can be.
Most people who are not DC fanboys.
That are not Zack Snyder. And possibly some of the actors in it, but most of them probably also think it's really terrible. What makes that a bad movie and not a good bad movie? Because on the surface, there should be plenty of stuff in it that's like, oh, that was awesome, or like... oh, cool, look, it's Batman doing a thing. Like, at least that's kind of fun. To me, it's not, though. I don't know if you'd agree with me, whether or not you do. Why would you say that's a bad movie as opposed to a good bad movie?
I don't know, because it's a great film.
Oh, my goodness.
And
all right, podcast over.
There is no more dezandfoxplay.
I am done.
You just hear, like, wet slams as Fox murders me.
Yep. Wet slams, like as if I'm punching you so hard you're turning into like a bloody pulp.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, okay.
See, you caught it
right.
first thing.
I did.
Good job. So, anyway,
it's a weird way to put it.
First of all, there is a point in which you present actors and directors and IP that you have an expectation of quality from the movie. And that's a big part of it to me. So, for example, Transformers. Another thing where you're presenting Mark Wahlberg or Shia LaBeouf. These guys aren't A-list actors, but they're certainly B or C-list actors, you know what I mean? And like...
Mark Wahlberg's A-list.
You think?
At that point.
Yeah, but anyway... people that have names that you know, and then it's Michael Bay, like a director that is well known, whether or not
It's well known.
yeah,
Yes.
it's well known, and then it's an IP that is a beloved IP.
Sure.
And I actually will say I enjoyed the first movie. It was a fun movie, but after that,
The first one's good, bad. The rest are bad. That's my thought.
the first one, yeah, the first one's not quite like Troll 2 Good Bad.
No.
Or Mythica
It's
Good
mostly
Bad.
stupid.
But the second one is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. Like, I will say it's not as bad as The
Racist
Veil, but it's pretty
robots.
close. It's super racist.
Yes.
And absolutely geared toward like 11-year-old
Yes.
humor. Like,
Yes.
I'm beneath the robot's testicles.
Yeah, like, oh, that's hilarious. Oh, look, Megan Fox is wearing short shorts.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw
Move
the
on,
movie
guys.
in theaters, and I remember coming out of it thinking to myself, what?
I am now dumber.
Yes, exactly. But so there's a point in which you say Zack Snyder, Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, not Michael Cera. What's his name?
I wish Michael Cera was like Luther.
What's his name?
That one guy. Jesse Eisenberg.
Jesse Eisenberg. Thank you. They slap these movies, and I mean now you could say Gal Gadot, but not at that time. She was kind of nobody then.
She's famous because of that role.
Right. You slam all these things in there, and people were expecting quality.
Yeah.
And quality was not delivered.
It was not.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that expectations are factored into what makes bad movies bad sometimes.
Right.
Batman v Superman should have been good.
Yes.
Literally decades of stories about Batman and Superman coming, like, fighting with each other or working together. Like, they had all the resources, all the money in the world.
Right.
Like, they had it had everything going for it, and it fell apart. It made it just bad. And there are some brief moments that I think are okay. I think the Bruce Wayne moments where he's kind of doing Bruce Wayne-y things, where he's like sneaking around Lex Luthor's place and like stealing stuff, or you know, that was fine. Like, there are some moments that are like okay, but they're still tainted by the fact that, wow, what could have been? This could have been something so much better, and it's just a big piece of crap. And so even the things that are kind of enjoyable, maybe possibly, like Wonder Woman showing up in her theme song is great, and Wonder Woman is fine, whatever. Like, but even the moments that could be considered enjoyable are less so because your expectations were high,
Right.
and were crushed.
Yes. Yes. And when I saw the very first preview for it, I was like, oh, this does not look good. And then
Yes.
as more previews came out, I was like, I don't know.
still doesn't look
I'm
good.
uncertain. But then, like, I saw some pre-critic reviews that were really positive, and I'm sad I let myself get hope because it ended up not being great. I will say this, I liked it more than I probably should have.
Yep.
Anybody
who did.
I will admit that readily. It was not a very well made movie, but I enjoy it.
I was laughing while it was playing, but not in the same way that I laugh at Troll 2. I was laughing at, really, this is what they're trying to do? Like, wow, this is so bad. And in Troll 2, I'm like, wow, this is bafflingly bad. This is hilarious.
It's the same way that you laugh at Trump's Twitter feed. Like, you laugh, but you also realize the
cringing
whole world,
on the inside. Like, oh,
everything
no,
is awful.
this is actually bad.
Yeah, like, also in pain.
That is a great metaphor. You laugh at Batman v Superman the way you laugh at Trump's Twitter feed. Like, hilarious, maybe on the surface, but underneath you're like, wow, this is just bad.
Oh, like,
this is not good. I mean, one might be a little more disastrous for the world.
And also
Batman
at the
v
same
Superman.
time, and this is something that you talk about a lot, and there are often times that I disagree with you, but this is one that I very much agree with you on, is a lot of the logic of the characters in that movie just didn't make sense. And there are times that your character can be illogical and goofy and whatever, and you can laugh at that, but when these are your protagonists that you're supposed to be getting behind, and Superman is shaking his finger at Batman,
that moment,
and that's about the end of it, and at the same time, Batman is trying to murder Superman because reasons?
Or he stops trying to murder Superman because their moms have the same name.
They have the same name?
Like, interesting idea, but poorly put. Yeah, just
that
the
at
logic.
no point can Superman say, I'm trying to save my mom.
Right.
He has my mom.
Right. Why would they say Yeah, like, just say, like, I'm trying to save my mom. Why would you say I'm trying to save Martha?
Or any point, like they have banter in there when he's like,
Yes.
I'm not going to let you don't banter, say he's kidnapped my mom.
Here are the stakes.
Yes.
This is important. I'm not just when he shows up he says I'm not going to, like, the line is like, better to be, I don't know, surrender now or I'll break you into a million pieces or something like that, or I'm doing you a service by not breaking you into a million. Like, it's just so dour also.
Yes.
Good bad movies are fun. 100% of the time they are fun to watch.
That's a really good point.
And
there.
sometimes, like, you know, post-apocalyptic, depressing, whatever situations can still be fun based on what the characters are doing. But 100% of the time you have to have fun watching a good bad movie.
Right.
And if the movie is bleak and the dialogue is, like, just so dour and depressing, like, it's just not fun to watch. Even though what's happening on screen are, like, Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman fighting Doomsday, it's just boring.
And Avengers balances that really well, actually.
Yes, they do
Avengers
a great
is super
job.
fun and also very serious.
Even the worst Marvel movie, Ant-Man, is still fun to watch, or Thor, if you those are usually the two that are put up there, because at least what's going on is kind of fun to watch.
Yeah.
Like, Thor is a fun character, Ant-Man is a fun, likable guy. He might not be the most, like, high stakes or, like, okay, I don't really care about Ant-Man, but at least it's like there are things happening that you enjoy. There's humor. There's always humor involved.
A lot of humor in Ant-Man.
Yeah. That's, you always have to have fun watching a good bad movie. Otherwise, it's not a good bad movie.
And that's why I actually have some hope for the DC Universe, because Justice League was better than Superman versus Batman.
It was like a notch above.
And it had some of that with it. Like, there were times that it took itself seriously.
Yes.
Times that it didn't. They finally started to get Superman right.
Superman is like, yeah, like, he actually, like, has one-liners that are fun. He's like, you guys still dealing with this man, with this Joker, or something like that?
Yeah, like, total Boy Scout.
I mean, now they run into the problem of Superman.
Like, oh yeah.
Everybody else could have gone home.
Yeah.
Like, they literally could have just left in the Batmobile. He would have been fine.
So, well, at the end of the day, what we will always say is, when it comes to good movies, bad movies, and good bad movies, it's your opinion. Watch what you enjoy. Don't watch what you don't enjoy. Laugh at what you want to laugh at. If you enjoy a movie, I will not judge you on it.
Oh, I will.
Yes.
Easily.
Fox will
I'm judging you right now.
Heavily
Whatever
judge
movie
you
you're
on
thinking
it.
of that you like but isn't very good, I'm judging you about it right now.
They were thinking of The Hobbit.
I'm judging you about that because you're wrong. No, I know it's not amazing. I still enjoy it.
That's just a bad movie that Fox enjoys, but
Incorrect.
Anyway. So, it is, here's what I will say critically. It is equally...
We already had this episode.
Equally good as the Star Wars prequels.
We're moving on.
So, watch whatever you guys want to watch. Enjoy what you want to know. But let us know what some of your favorite good, bad movies are. Why you think that they're good, bad, and what you love about them.
Yeah.
And let us know what movies are just straight up bad.
Give us some suggestions of what to watch.
Yeah. Fox, let's watch The Veil together.
Let's do that.
You need to watch the Mythica series on your own.
Okay.
But then let's watch The Veil together.
Okay. Sounds great.
Anyways, guys, thanks for your support. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love if you would share it with some other people. We don't pay to advertise or anything like that, so whenever you show some other people our podcast, it does numbers for us. Thank you so much. Does numbers?
Does numbers. It does wonders.
Wonders. Thank you.
It does numbers.
It does numbers.
You become our accountant.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.
And remember, save games, save lives.
Bye.